who actually knows about HackYourFuture already, just to get an idea? Okay, who doesn't know about HackYourFuture? Okay, that's more relevant. But that's good actually, because yeah, we have actually had a long history with Copenhagen Jazz. A lot of our mentors are coming from here, so happy to return and kind of give a bit of an update about it. I'm gonna try to keep it short, but I guess the part about explaining what it is I have to do again anyways. So just real briefly, HackYourFuture is it's a coding school for people that don't have the same access to education in Denmark and don't have limited access to the job market because they're maybe new in the country, or they cannot access education in the same way. So we're a free coding bootcamp that people can become web developers at. So we teach a modern JavaScript stack. And this is a bit of a community update. So I've been at the Copenhagen JS, I think 4 or 5 times or so. In the beginning, more to beg for more mentors to help out in the initiative. But now I can actually come back and tell you about some good news and just give a bit of an update. So that's what I'm also doing today. So this is our class as it used to look a couple months ago. So maybe you recognize some known people. We have 40 people in the program right now. And 3 classes running parallel. In total, we've added 12 different teams to HackYourFuture of approximately 15 people each, or 10 to 15. So it's been going for quite a while, and it was definitely difficult in the start, but it's really getting to a solid point now. We have 44 active students that are in the program right now, and maybe you will recognize some of them eventually when they come to the meetup here. So if you recognize anyone, or if you see them in the future, just greet them and say hi. Some of them are completely new to development, and others not so new to development maybe. And you also see some known faces in there because it's also volunteers and mentors and whoever else. But just try to be as inviting as Copenhagen JS has always been. So I think that's always been a great starting point for internationals to kind of arrive on the developer scene here. Yes, we have 37 alumni so far, so people that have graduated from our entire program, gone through everything. And the really good part about that too is that a lot of those have actually found jobs and then also come back to teach in our program. So we have this community now that also supports itself, which I think is, when I look back at it, the thing that I'm most proud about, maybe, because it started off as a kind of a charity thing where you just feel okay, we want to do something for people that really maybe didn't come to Denmark out of a choice, but then just are here, have a lot of potential, but can't use it in the same way as they could. And and a couple years later, we've been doing this for a little over 2 years. Now the students, they're done. They have moved on to really cool developer jobs and then come back and teach the next generation of people. And actually, they're super good at teaching that. And I mean, Zoe is one of them. Maybe some would disagree that she would be a good teacher, but she actually is really good at explaining stuff. And I mean, we mix the teacher couples together, so Zoe is always balanced out by someone that doesn't talk a lot and just comes in with some deep comments. Yeah, I mean, we keep the balance, as said. I'll leave it at that. So then for the people who don't know how we actually do this exactly, in relatively briefly, it's we have classes once per week, 4 hours on a Sunday. That's when everyone gathers and we go through some topics, explain some things, do tons of exercises together, and then people get 30 hours of homework every week. We have a Slack channel as a main platform where everyone can ask questions. We're pretty much available 24/7. We have a network of almost 80 developers that are helping out. So tons of work that people have to solve themselves. And so simply put, that means that we make people to become independent problem solvers. So not just people that know exactly one technology and that's that. We want people to be really good at learning new stuff fast, and also being able to switch from a technology when they maybe start an internship or a job afterwards, because that's the life of a developer. And so this is what we currently teach with JavaScript stack, with React, Node.js, Express. And then in the end, people build a project, a real world project together with an organization or company that kind of needs something. So people also get used to working a lot in teams, resolving Git merge conflicts, which is the real life of a developer, I guess. And then you move away from the dream of building cool stuff every day. It's a lot of hassle as well. So we do that with using GitHub a lot, Slack, and then we drag people to meetups as well when they're new to development. And like there's a couple people here, so that's also super nice to see that the meetup still is frequented by our students and alumni. And yeah, to go, well, we really make a science out of like how we want to teach things, because it's so much also about confidence and motivation. I'm not going to go too deeply into it. Like we basically just try to remind students all the time that while they're learning JavaScript, which is super difficult, they do become more confident. Like when you go on the x-axis, like the competence does grow, even though the competence goes kind of up and down, depending on like how much you think you know about JavaScript. Yes, and then our whole curriculum you can find here. So that's online, open source. Like we want everyone to have this knowledge and be able to share it, but then we can only accept 15 people into the program every other month. So that's the people that are like selected through like a really rigorous process. And those are the ones that kind of become part of the community, and where we do like a lot of individual work with them. And yeah, no, they have like the most help, but everyone else can also access it. Like it's completely transparent to see like what we teach and how. Yes, and then if you zoned out for a little while, this is like the short version. Like we educate people to become developers. Does it work? I mean, I think there's a lot of like walking proof in here that it does work. But then here's another like selection of companies that have hired our graduates or students that are still active in the program. So that looks really cool nowadays, because there's like cooler logos that also have white PNGs on Google that you can easily find. So that was an easy slide to put together. But yeah, there's more companies. But we're really proud to have like people in like very well-known Danish companies, well-established Danish companies as well. And altogether, that's 48 people that through our program kind of moved into employment and tech. So I would have never thought that it would get this far, but I think also, not least because of the help of people here from Copenhagen JS, this was actually possible. But it could be more, I think. So I'm really happy with this number, but it can always be better, because there's this other obstacle. You know, like people get really good at the tech stack, and they have all the technical skills that you would think you would need. But then there's all these other obstacles when you really want to get into working at a company in Denmark. So there's, well, the confidence thing, of course. Then there's some employment bias, you know, people that have a funny sounding name or like maybe look a certain way have a harder time like even getting their foot in the door when they send out a CV, so they don't get looked at in the same way. There's also this problem, of course, about the lack of experience, where, yeah, as in any industry, there's this like paradox of you need experience to be able to get a job, to get experience to get the job. And so that's not special. That's kind of like that in every job, in every industry. But it's weird that it's like that in tech, because there's all these like open positions and like everyone's like recruiting all the time. But then it seems like you still always need the experience to get there. I just came from Tech Barbecue, where we're at Microsoft, and like together with a friend we gave this talk that we just as a joke told them, like, this is the title, diversity is great, that you should all hire more juniors. And they didn't really catch on to that we were still thinking about what the title should be. So they just put that on the agenda, and then we had to run with it and made it even more ridiculous. This was all within Microsoft, the Microsoft tent. So they were a bit wary of that. But I think it's something that also needs to be said. I think some of the large companies could be doing more to help with that. So yeah, I mentioned that experience paradox there as well. And then because it's Tech Barbecue, you spice that up with some numbers about like, you know, like in 2030, there'll be 19,000 people missing in tech. And that means that we're only, or like even in 2018 already, like Denmark's tech industry was missing out on 1/3 of the revenue that they could have been making, because they didn't have the talent to actually do the projects that they could have done. They had to say no to it, or they couldn't grow it the same way that they could because they were missing the talent. So I feel like it would be so simple to say like, hey, let's set up some internships and get people like nicely onboarded in a humane way. And also this was really unpopular at Microsoft, but I think it kind of like it describes a well-known situation. And so this is something that we've been like trying to push a lot, because this is like the final obstacle that our students can run into, that it's like they're super good, they're proven to be like dedicated, super motivated, they learn a lot of stuff, they already know a lot of stuff. I mean, they can't be perfect, but like they got to try it out somewhere. So why is there not like more big companies that have the resources that actually support them to say like, okay, hey, here's an unpaid internship, 3 months, we'll test you out in that time, and then we'll see afterwards. But it really doesn't happen as much as you'd think. But yeah, so like the proof is kind of like walking around out there already. So this is one of our former students, Zuhair, that also works at Glostrup at a company called WizKids, like writing some really complicated like translation and like grammar stuff. I don't understand, but he's such a good example of someone that's like really super talented. And like we went there with a camera just to film, to do some testimonials of like former graduates and like how they're doing now. And then on the bus, he just like started like coding again. I was like, you're insane. I mean, like, come on, man. Like this is over the top. But yeah, so there's a lot of like good proof out there. And but yeah, in the end though, like we also realized that we as an organization, we try to help people a lot. We try to empower them to kind of like get down this like really lucrative career path, but we really don't have so much power ourselves. So it's like, like it takes the larger companies, so like someone to also do a little bit on their end, especially Microsoft. They were not happy about hearing all of that. But yeah, so that's why I was just telling them, like, meet us a bit in the middle, because I think it's always like the people that are engaged about such a thing within the company that can make things happen. Companies, I've learned over the years, like they really don't give a fuck about CSR. It's like, if it sells well, that's cool. But like the people who really make something happen are like, the individuals in the company that feel like that's a good idea. And then they kind of figure out like, what can my company do that makes sense and that maybe isn't a financial disaster? Because like I can't tell them that. So yeah, that's basically that. Hope there wasn't too much ranting. But if you wanna listen to more rants, a lot of that's happening. Pretty bad at social media. So it's like, I think I circulate through them and then I use one a lot at a time. And I'm too lazy to copy paste into the next medium because I just want to be done with it. So, but yeah, like you'll find something on those. Yeah, but that's that. Thanks for listening.